is a unique resource and a special institution in the African world. He's a teacher, historian, writer, lecturer, and reviewer. Presently, he is a distinguished professor emeritus of African World History in the Department of Africana and Puerto Rican Studies at Hunter College in New York City. He is the editor of 21 books and has written several books, short stories, and pamphlets on African and African American history. He's written many forewords and introductions to books, the latest one being the foreword to Sheikh Anta Diop's last published work entitled Civilization or Barbarianism. Dr. Clarke is a world-renowned lecturer and has delivered lectures at major conferences in the United States and in many foreign countries. Some of his books are Africans at the Crossroads, Notes for an African World Revolution, Marcus Garvey, Vision of Africa, New Dimensions in African World History, Malcolm X, The Man and His Times. It gives me great pleasure to present to you the distinguished scholar and historian, Dr. John Henrik Clarke.
Thank you very much. I'm pleased to be here again. I'm pleased to be able to try to explain something that will relate to the unification of African people and the salvation of African people and the mission of African people.
Go ahead.
I believe in the essential selfishness of survival.
All right.
That means my kith and kin is taken care of before I consider others.
Bring it out.
What we have failed to do for ourselves, we have failed to give ourselves priority, and we've listened to other people's stories and have not learned our own. My search for this subject, why African history, started years ago in my search just for the knowledge of teaching Sunday school in a Baptist church.
Go ahead.
And I had a great-grandmother. I was just beginning to read the Bible, and I would read the Bible to her, and she would interpret it. And she said God was love, and God was merciful, and God was kind. When I could not find African people in the pictorial history of the Bible, I suspected that something had gone wrong. How can he be loved and how can he be kind? When I look at the Sunday school lesson and see all those white angels,
Well,
how can he possibly favor only white angels? Didn't he have mercy to let one little black or brown angel sneak into heaven? So starting this way, starting this search in rural Alabama, in an industrial town, Columbus, Georgia, I began first to borrow books from white people I worked for and use books as a form of interior decoration and didn't read books. So therefore they didn't miss them when I failed to bring them back.
okay.
And growing up in a town where blacks could not use the public library unless they were going on an errand for white people, I began to forge the name of white on a note. Give this boy a safe book. to my bootleg books. I became a scholar at a very early time. This is why when people refer to me as doctor, and I've got shelf full of honoraries and an earned one too that I will talk about. Because of my knowledge of my own history and my knowledge of my people, my searching, asking questions. Very early they called me Little Fess, a little professor. So if you address me as professor, I feel highly honored because I earned that. If you address me as doctor, a whole lot of that was given to me, and some of it I studied for and passed an obstacle course and wrote a dissertation for that.
Good.
But it started with my search for information and my desire to get out of Georgia, get out of the South, search for some land, some place, a little freer, where I could at least go into a library and check out a book. So I was more fortunate than most people. I was searching for Arthur Schomburg, and when I found him on his lunch hour, I told him I was a teenager then. I want to know the whole history of African people, all of it, henceforth, but then the hour, your lunch hour. He said very kindly and with great patience, "Sit down, son." What you calling African history, Negro history, are the missing pages of world history. So from Arthur Schomburg, I learned the interrelationship of African history to world history. And in the old Harlem History Club, under Willis Huggins and John Jackson, who only died about 3 weeks ago, the political meaning of history. And listening to the lectures of Leo Hansberry at Howard University, the philosophical meaning of history. I had the good fortune to be trained by black master teachers. No university could have given me that kind of special training. And to live in Harlem during the late Depression period, the great cadre of Caribbean scholars, Cypher, Richard B. Moore, the aftermath of Hubert Harrison, the rebirth of the Garvey movement after the Italian-Ethiopian War. My school was the African world and the African people. So why African history? Why any history? What is history? I have said repeatedly, history is a clock you use to tell your special time of day, culture and politically. And it is a compass you use to find yourself on the map of human geography. History tells a people where they have been, what they have been, where they are and what they are. More important, history tells the people what they still must be and where they still must go.
Go ahead.
The relationship of a people to their history is the same as the relationship of a child to its mother. Dare you try to exist without history? When some students tell me, flip it because they heard this from some white professor, what will black studies do for you? I said, what will your watch do for you?
Go ahead, doctor. Go ahead.
will tell you the time of day.
Right on.
And if you don't know how much time you got behind you, how much time you got in front of you, you cannot measure your movement the rest of the day. Now, why the attack on African history? Now, if we are people without a history, why does it take laws, lies, millions of dollars in propaganda to say this? Why is it that the academic community, most of the white, would mortgage their very soul to steal Egypt? If we didn't have a history, why all the fuss to say so?
Yeah.
Inferior things fall into an inferior position and stay there. It requires no effort. It requires no effort for oil and water to separate itself because they're both different.
Yeah.
One's going to come to the top, one's going to go to the bottom. You don't have to do anything about it. Just leave it alone. So now, if we had no history, why don't people just leave us alone? These people don't history. Why are they claiming things that existed in the world before they existed? You can't enter a silly argument about whether the Europeans built the pyramids. There was no Europe at the time. You can't say whether the Asians did it. Nobody would build that well away from home until they build that well at home. You cannot say that the Europeans developed the philosophical thought of Nile Valley civilization because they did not develop anything resembling a book until about 850 BC. Nile Valley civilization was old then and tired and in decline. The African had done all of this, developed the basis for all of the religions of the world. The basic concept of a God was salvation. All salvation-oriented religions started basically from African social thought.
Go ahead.
If it has no salvation at the end, it's not ours. We'll be willing to give it to anybody who wants it.
Go ahead, Doctor. Go ahead.
But if it's salvation-oriented, it's our job, intellectually. The Europeans did not adopt anything unified that they could call a faith until they reinterpreted, mutilated, and betrayed and misunderstood African Christian teaching at the conference at Nicaea, 325 A.D. Now, what do you argue about Africa's place in history? But over half of civilization was over before the African knew that anything called a European was in the world. Didn't know he was in the world because he wasn't functioning. He had not, at that time, made a shoe or lived in a house with a window. So what is that to argue about? What this fight over curricula? They wish to keep away from you something which you must absolutely reclaim if you're going to survive. That is the concept of nation.
Right on.
Nation is a container for people's aspirations, their hopes, and their desires. It is from the basis of a nation that you function in relationship with other nations. It is from the basis of nation that you assume power and that you manage power. They want you to have the illusion that you could never or have never managed power. Because after independence, alleged independence in Africa, white still control the country economically, because they programmed the African mind to assume we could not handle massive wealth that come out of gold mines, cobalt, manganese. And because you have not studied seriously, you do not know that if Africa was united, they could pull Western industry down. They could put it to a standstill. They could stop jet planes from flying. They could end the gold market. They could tell you that as much as 7 out of the main ingredients went into the making of the atomic bomb came out of Africa. And the main ingredients that would go into the thermonuclear bomb, all of that comes out of Africa. Africa could stop the world from destroying itself if Africa got itself together. Right on. And stop imitating imitators. Stop following the people who don't know where they're going. Christianity never suited the temperament of the European. And the true interpretation of Islam never suited the temperament of the Arab. We always tolerate something without studying it historically.
Go ahead, doctor. Go ahead.
Every organized religion is a male chauvinist murder cult. It didn't have to be. The spirituality that went into the making of religion had no argument about female equality. The African, before he was interfered with, he wouldn't argue about a thing like that. That's almost arguing about whether you're equal to your mother. Who got you here? You mean I'm going to argue equality from someone that came from a womb? So now why do we get all these warped concepts? And why do we get all of the people today assigning Africa traits alien to the very character of Africa?
Go ahead.
People writing books, going on all kinds of TV programs. But the African male responsible for female circumcision. I defy you to show me one document, one proof of female circumcision for the emergence of the Arabs in Africa.
Teach, doctor.
Anybody that says the Africans have been involved in this for thousands of years is a liar, and you not only don't know the African, you don't know the black male temperament in relationship to sex. There's something in our culture that relates, something in our songs that relate. There's a call and response in our song. There's a call and response in our relationship to a woman when we do it right. You think an African man with his ego gonna kill her ability to respond?
Doctor, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
And when he say, "How am I doing, baby?" See, we have had a healthy attitude toward things other people made unhealthy and made filthy and dirty. Show me one case of prostitution in African society for the coming of foreigners.
Well,
Show me one case of sexual deviation before the coming upon you.
Ouch.
And yet you've got people, whole radio programs, the Africans and the Greeks were both homosexuals. The Africans could have introduced it to the Greeks. Now we ain't had no confusion.
Help yourself, Doctor.
We've been confused on many things. But not that.
None of that. Okay. Go ahead, Doctor.
Yeah. You know the difference between mother and father. You know what each one's supposed to do.
Yeah. Go ahead, Doctor.
The unhealthiness that has been introduced into our psyche came from the outside, and too many people make ritual out of it. And we badger each other over the head, over other people's interpretation or misinterpretation of religion they have assumed that they belong to. I have met black scholars who are Muslim, but I have not met a single black scholar who is a scholar on Islam. Who know it historically.
Go ahead, Doctor.
And if you knew it historically, there would be no separation between man and woman, because if you understand the Prophet Muhammad, the first official public act was in a time in Arabia, because this was a male-oriented society. If a woman had 2 children, if she had 3, the 3rd child is killed. If it's a girl. His first public act was to defend the right of women.
Thank you.
To hold their child. Then how did that religion become so chauvinistic and male-oriented?
Thank you.
How did Christianity become so male-oriented when their first gods were women?
Thank you. Hey,
See, if you knew history, you'd first know how to take over yourself, and subsequently how to take over your portion of the world and run it. And that's what it's really all about. You taking your portion of the world and breaking the cycle of dependency on other people. You have to look beyond, behind, and for the slavery curtain.
Yep.
In the last 2 years, I have been deep in research on African slavery because of certain books I've written, maybe all too hurriedly, Christopher Columbus and the African Holocaust.
Good.
I've done an introduction to the Columbus conspiracy. I've just finished the text for Tom Field's illustrated history of slavery called Middle Passage, the African Holocaust.
Okay.
So I'm fresh on the subject. I just finished a chapter just 2 weeks ago on the other Holocaust, the Arab slave trade. I have pointed out and did my research on the fact that the Arabs were in the slave trade before Islam, and the fact that they are still in the slave trade.
Go ahead.
And I find it hard to contain myself when someone goes that litany, you know. Then when the black man says, the Arab language is the black man's original faith, and the black man had a language before the Arabs existed as a people.
All right.
There's nothing wrong with you belonging to anything you want to belong to. I'm not telling you to leave in a religion or leave in a church. I'm saying that everything that takes up your time and your energy and your money should become an instrument of your liberation, or you should throw it in the trash can. Make it your own and make it serve you, and not a rationale for new Islamic imperialism.
Thank you.
Africans are being killed, are driven out of Mauritania. Some solely because they are not Muslims.
Teach. Teach,
And
Doctor.
Senegalese who are Muslims are being driven out of Mauritania. Where is the voice that to be raised against this? Africans are being killed in the Sudan solely because they're not Muslim. And yet somebody comes, this is the black man's true faith.
Come on, Doctor. Go ahead.
Your true faith is that faith that liberates you from the domination of other people. Otherwise, it's not true.
Okay.
I'm saying any faith can be a liberating force. Years ago, when Malcolm X was alive and Muhammad's speech was widely circulated, I offered to do a series of articles on the great black heroes of Islam. And they said that we don't emphasize color. So therefore, they did not hear of the fact that the revolutionary side of Islam was the black side. That the Arabs corrupted it to the point where the European could answer the challenge, break their hold on Spain and the Mediterranean. And that tiger got out of the bag and changed the world at our expense. Using maritime skill, mostly taken from China. He created the slave trade. He rescued the economy of Europe. Because of a bunch of corrupt Arabs arguing among themselves, let him loose. They stayed his hand in the Mediterranean 800 years. I'm always inviting people to read something. I'm not ashamed of it. There's a chapter in John Jackson's work, Introduction to African Civilization, called Africa and the Civilizing of Europe. Not only read the chapter, read his references, then go read his references. And check out Stanley Lampoon's, the reissue of his book, The Story of the Moors in Spain. The Africans and the Arabs mastered the Mediterranean because the African was the military arm of Arab advancement in the Mediterranean. And when he betrayed the Africans and turned on and began to enslave the very African who had saved his behind, he lost control and permitted Europe to rise and move out into the broader world. We got a case against him. I didn't say a case against Islam. We got a case against his corruption and misuse of Islam as the arm of imperialism. We got a case against the Europeans for using Christianity as their arm of imperialism. We got a case against a people who said that they are the chosen people. I maintain that if you study organized religion, it will be revealed to you that all of them has made God a bigot.
Teach.
By saying he justifies their crimes against other people. Now, what are some of these missing pieces that we're going to look at, that we absolutely must look at? In Africa today, the concept of nation is being misunderstood. And Africans, 2 generations trained in technology. Some are driving cabs in the United States. Some are unemployed in Africa. Because a bunch of thugs have taken over nearly every government in Africa. And an intellectual class who had no personal courage, ran like jackrabbits. Instead of taking a stand against these fools who don't even know what a government is. I remember Butu should have been killed in his mother's womb. One of the richest men in the world who never did a day's work. And we have to kill the Mumbo. All right, now, why are we and who is controlling education? And why are we so naive as to assume that powerful people can afford to educate us? To expect education in the public schools is a contradiction in terms. Because if you were really educated, you would dictate the curriculum. And you would educate them. We must learn that powerful people cannot afford to train you in the methodology that you can use to take their power away from them. Years ago, on my way from Baghdad, my second meeting with Saddam Hussein, that's another lecture. He's not insane, just a garden variety, nothing big. I was with a black woman politician named Hannah Atkins. And the American Airlines then had a first class section over the first class section. And if you get, it's only 18 seats. So if you get there early, you can get up there. So we was there eating and looking out at the stars, 7 different wines, 5 different meats. And Hannah said to me, you know, John, if we had all of this, no matter how we got it or who we got it from, would we give it back? I said, hell no. So if you expect thieves to return that, you are dreaming. They took it from you.
Yeah.
You have to take it back.
No. It's simple.
No one leaves freedom in a will. Freedom is something you secure with your own hands. And the generation that comes after you must secure it with your own hands. And until you understand the problem of land, you won't understand the problem of nation. This is why I'm a little less than enthusiastic about Nelson Mandela. Why he owned 87% of the land until he called for the return of the land. He's a little less than my hero.
Okay.
You do not sit with thieves and bargain for your own home. Now that's real and that's revolutionary.
Yes.
If I had a house with 6 rooms and a thief took over some of the back rooms and convinced me that after all you're only using 4 rooms, I was leaving alone in this too. I will not negotiate with the thief.
That's right.
I negotiate with the undertaker to take the dead. When people take nations, they don't take them to give them back.
Right.
They take them to keep them. You now have in Western Asia mistakenly called the Middle East an a nation of agitators who in history has never had a nation that wasn't stolen property. Biblical time, modern time.
Yeah. Tell it.
Now, if we want to argue the problem about who owns Palestine, you would tell both the Israelis and the Arabs to get out.
Teach the history. Teach the history.
Because it was first occupied by Africans called Canaanites. Because we have 12 million square miles of real estate that's ours by every law and God and man, we don't have to make no issue out of that little postage stamp land. But we want to make an issue out of it now. We could claim part of Europe. Because a lot of us migrated into Europe and stayed there till nature transformed us into something else. Some of us came home. We are the world people. Now, if we understood the nature of our world position, the Africans in the Caribbean islands, if they ever decide to be out, the Africans in Brazil, South Sea Island, Pacific Island, Dravidians in India, Africans in Africa. Put it all together, you got 1 billion human beings. Now you gonna worry about who you gonna be your ally? You make an ally out of yourself, and you can change the world. So without firing a shot. I'm not suggesting you don't fire a shot. I'm saying you can do all of this without firing a shot. And when you finally fire a shot, you do even more. Whoever the Creator is, He did not endow any one people with any special privileges to rule over another people. The reason you don't know this is that you live in a Eurocentric intellectual universe. They made decisions in the 15th and the 16th century. Whoever controls the world is going to be one of them. It'll be one of them if it's a fascist, one of them if it's a communist, one of them if it's a socialist, one of them if it's a capitalist. But it's going to be one of them. Because you did not understand Marxism and did not understand the forerunner of socialism was carrying societies that existed before Europe existed. You think you must go with your little political bucket to Europe to get yourself some socialism. But they don't know socialism, have shown, betrayed it right in front of your eyes over one weekend. When you had it, you lived it out. You didn't write no doctrines about it. You wrote no dogma. You just lived it out. Akhenaten has said 1,300 years before the Bible Christ, to each according to his needs. So Marx wasn't saying anything new. And the Marxists never knew non-European societies and didn't know European societies very well. We have assigned people knowledge they do not have. If they were so knowledgeable about even the unification of Europe, even the humanity of Europeans, why are they reducing some of that people to cannibalism right in Europe? How can you expect humanity from people who fail to show humanity to their kith and kin? Now, you would think, because you do not know the history of Somalia, that someone is there for humanitarian reasons. Western man never does anything outside of the West for humanitarian reasons. That's a strategic position. That's potentially an oil-producing country. Is at the Horn of Africa. It's a door that swings 3 ways. It is strategically needed. There didn't have to be any famine in Ethiopia. There was enough food in Ethiopia at the time. There's enough food in Somalia. There was a crisis in distribution. There was a crisis among African thugs fighting over positions of power among themselves, not with the people's interests at heart. Again, let's look at all the forces negating our getting together and creating that Pan-African World Union that will not only liberate Africans, but it will set the role model in motion. It may liberate other people in the world. You might wonder, well, if I'm dealing with religion, why didn't I take on the Hindu faith? From them came caste system, the so-called untouchable. How can a human being be untouchable if he's the creation of God? How can he be untouchable? Look at the contradiction we're dealing with here. Now, if you rescue your history and understand how, when you rule nations well, you will lose your inferiority complex about power. For 1,000 years after the fall of Rome, in what I call Africa's third golden age, they brought into being nation after nation in inner West Africa, called the Western Sudan. The last of these great nations, the size of the United States. They didn't send for any foreigners to conduct that vast gold trade across the Sahara. Read Bobel's The Golden Trade of the Moors. Read an earlier work by Bobel, Caravans of the Old Sahara. I read a little book by Adu Boan, Topics in West African History. I read The Horizon History of Africa, an article by Boan, The Coming of the European. And read the chapter that follows called Africa, Time of Trouble, dealing with the impact, the first impact of the Europeans all over Africa, and that impact was negative. And if you forgive the modesty, I wrote the chapter. Why don't we listen to messengers who try to deliver us? I'm going to try to drive this to a close because when the Baptist preacher in me takes over, I know that with a little encouragement, I go on forever, and that's not possible. Messages have been delivered to us that we have not considered.
Yes, sir.
We were wrong in assuming that Booker T. Washington was an Uncle. He was a strategist whose strategy didn't always work. But he was a strategist. And if you read his Atlanta Cotton Expedition speech, read it with a touch of cynicalism. That was one of the greatest con games a black man ever played on white America. He was telling the blacks, you stay in the South with the good white folks. You tell the good white folks that it's better to build your mills here, or we won't strike, unlike those ingrates up north. You were telling the blacks it's better to own a truck farm than to sit next to a white person at an opera, whites like that. Reach for the pocketbook, give up some money. Booker T. Washington was conning those people, keeping not only Tuskegee open, but keeping other schools open to train a generation. Of course, he scratched his head when it didn't itch. And he shuffled. And he laughed, and nothing was funny. He said yes, so that a future generation can be strong enough to say, hell no. Now, can you understand him in that context? And he put forth a system of education and community and self-reliance that logically leads to nationhood. Marcus Garvey modeled his program after Booker T. Washington's concept. We have to listen to all of these messengers that look at Du Bois not as an enemy of Washington because he wasn't, as a great consolidator who said, pull it together politically. Then look at Marcus Garvey's broad international sweep. Then look at Elijah Muhammad and Malcolm X's concept of a lost nation away from home. Then go back to the 19th century and read David Walker's appeal. They were all saying the same thing, using different words in different situations. You haven't heard them yet. Men have gone to that grave and you have not heard them. John Jackson, recently passed, did the best work on the role of religions in history. Who read his Christianity Before Christ without assuming it was an anti-Christ book? When he put in proper focus the role of Christianity, the elements that went into the making of Christianity 3,000 years before Christ. And he explains, if Christ had risen 2,000 years before, he could have read his own autobiography. Because it was part of the folklore of the world. He was picked up and placed within the context of already existing folklore. You ain't gonna buy this because you cannot deal with the Bible as folklore. Good folklore, but folklore. Stories told to illustrate a lesson. The illustration is not always true. If the lesson is true, the illustration needs not be true. We can get a lot out of the Bible if we know how to read it. But if we won't go so dewy-eyed and think everything in it is the truth, everything wasn't even meant to be the truth. It's a lesson illustrating the truth and emphasizing the possibilities of truth. Then if we understood people who went on to that grave trying to deliver a message that we hadn't gotten yet. We haven't heard Chancellor Williams. He died in a nursing home. Broke. We haven't read his master plan and the rebirth of African civilization, extended in his work the destruction of black civilization. We haven't read Sheikh Anta Diop's plan in Africa, the politics of a federated state, his plan to save the mineral wealth of Africa for African people. We have not even read, we've probably forgotten Hubert Harrison's little book written 1923, When Africa Awakens. Relevant then, relevant now. We have had some great messengers. We need to hear them. We need to hear what Edmund Blyton was trying to say in his inaugural address, Liberia College, 1881. We shall be obliged to work for many years to come without the support we need. We thrive to be those things most unlike ourselves, feeding grist into other people's meals. And of course, he said, nothing comes out except what has been put in. If you feed grist into somebody else's meal, somebody else's product is coming out. What we need is belief in ourselves, in our children, in our families. We need a dose of self-love.
Yes. Yes.
We need to understand that if you love yourself, you do not put poison in your veins. And if you love the woman who bore you children, you do not mutilate her because she is sexual. More sexual about virtue of having born you children. You need to learn that in our history there were no wife beaters, no teenage pregnancy, no prostitution. All of this came in with foreigners. No orphanage because we didn't need any.
Right.
We wasn't throwing away children. No nursing homes because grandma and grandpa had the same home they always had.
There you are.
And no sociology because we didn't need caseworkers.
Go ahead, doctor. Go ahead.
Uncles, grandma, nieces, they were the caseworkers.
Yeah.
It was on your case too.
Right.
And no single girls, because at a certain age, if you wasn't married, you hadn't found one, someone will find one for you. The aunts and the uncles got together. They found a young man and they consulted his family, consulted your family. They got together and they think that would be good temperamentally for her. They didn't ask her, do you love him? They made a decision. You two will go well together. Now that sounds odd to your Western-oriented mind. But every girl in the society got one way or the other. If you got one or can get one easily, I'll reconsider what I said. I bet you wish the hell you had to forget to go out and get one.
Go ahead, doctor.
I wish the committee had chosen the two of them. Now let us end something that has no end. I started off with a Pan-African plea. I do not believe there's any salvation for African people except some form of Pan-African nationalism and some socialism developed by Africans, for Africans, based on the traditions of African people, traditions that you can alter to make them serve African people. I'm not talking about trucking to Europe like a beggar. And I can make a distinguish between the two sets of Marxists the Karl Marxists and the Groucho Marxists. You got a lot of black Grouchos who really don't know direction for themselves. If we're standing at the crossroads of the world, and if we're given this golden opportunity, let us be reminded that faith has not spared us to do idle things. Faith has not spared us to feed poison in our veins and to shoot each other. Other people have had a Holocaust less than ours.
Nah, go ahead.
And they are extinct. People now boasting of a Holocaust and getting compensation when that Holocaust is small in comparison to what happened. I will not argue about whether Hitler killed 6 million. If he killed 6, he was wrong. Your humanity must be big enough to extend to the whole world. But it must first start with you. For your salvation, draw on the intellectual wealth of the whole world after you have exhausted your own intellectual wealth. Always start with yourself. If faith has spared us, then faith has spared us to deliver a message to the world. Faith has spared us to give back to the world what we gave the world before. We gave it a spirituality. We gave it a humanity. We gave it countries where people could walk in peace. We gave it an atmosphere where different people can practice spirituality in different ways, and even be man and woman and wife without an argument over it. We did not completely lose this. I grew up in the South while I was almost cultist Baptist. We did not drive the Methodists out of town, out of the community. We made some good jokes about them. And the people who couldn't eat pork, we shook our head and said, "Oh, poor little boy, never tasted pork chop." We didn't hit on them. We're people who live with diversity. Because diversity is a fertilizer and a stimulator of cultures. We don't turn one against the other in order to conquer both. The European cannot live with diversity. And we created diversities in everything, even in gods. And we had a god to take care of female fertility. We signed another god to take care of male fertility. Had one god to take care of the sun, we signed another one to the rain. The Catholics will adopt the same things and call them saints, and you buy that from them, but you won't buy it from them. When people are standing at the marketplace of the world, showing their wealth, their historical wealth, their cultural wealth, their contributions to maintenance of humankind, we must go and stand and show our wealth and show that it all began with us. That in the dawn of the history of the world, no man had direction, we gave direction. When people had no spirituality, we gave spirituality. We did this without any precedence, no books, but we wrote them. No social order, but we created them. And the copying of the social order from Africa spread to the world, and we gave birth to the concept that people call civilization. Now, look at yourself through this mirror. Treasure yourself through this mirror. Find a mirror and find a partner that you can use to change the world.
Thank you.
Don't move from that mirror until you like what's staring back at you, yourself. It is our mission to give the world a new lease on life, to bring back a humanity that we gave the world before, to create an atmosphere where people can walk in peace. This, of course, is our mission, and out of our mission will come a legacy that we leave for their children, for our children, for the whole world, and children still unborn. This, I say, is tomorrow's work. If you're in doubt about it, start it tomorrow. If you're sure about it, start it today. Thank you.